Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. I'm your host Josh Abrams, and on today's show we're going to talk about the Sixers and their hot streak going into the NBA playoffs. And then after that we're going to talk about the Flyers and their abysmal start to Game 1 of the NHL playoffs. All that and much more after this intro.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You'll never have the sacred stone. Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome back from the introduction, and as usual, I have a great panel on hand with me today to discuss the Sixers. To my left is Kevin Cook, and to his left is Jack Rohr. Guys, it's really going to be a tale of two different teams on the show today, but we're going to talk about the positive side first of the 76ers. They are, right now, the hottest team in NBA history to enter the playoffs. 16-game winning streak. It has been a very long time. Good amount of shows since we've seen them lose a game. If you look at the stats there, they are just ranking in the top 10 in almost everything there, and the team looks really good right now.
Yeah, I mean, minus for turnovers, and this is all year. They've actually brought that number down a whole lot over the past month. Since March 15th, they haven't lost a game. And, I mean, outside of that, I mean, within that period, they've been playing phenomenal basketball. They've ramped it up. They've only turned the ball over 13.6 times per game, which in the NBA is a pretty good.
Is that during the whole winning streak?
That's during the winning streak, yeah. And during that period, I mean, that's a pretty good length, and that's the reason why they're playing so much better. I mean, they're getting out on fast breaks, they're playing quick, and for a number of those games they haven't had Embiid, and in a way that's helping them play the fast-paced game of basketball that they've been playing.
Yeah, and Jack, that's definitely. How surprised are you personally that the Sixers are able to continue to have strong success in the league without Joel Embiid?
Honestly, when I saw Embiid go down, I was like, okay, they're still going to make the playoffs, obviously, but
right.
I expected them to be a 6 seed or a 7 seed. They kept it going, and they kept winning. So I am really surprised, and I'm just hoping it keeps going.
Yeah, and with the absence of Embiid, it's apparent that players need to step up, and one of those players that has stepped up is our #1 draft pick from this past year, Markelle Fultz. I mentioned on the show last week that he had played 6 games. He had come back, scored in double digits a couple times, but he really elevated his game and his status last night with a triple-double, and he is now, I mean, it's like the Sixers are breaking records left and right. We're the hottest team ever going into the playoffs, as I mentioned, but this kid is now the youngest NBA player ever to record a triple-double. Just truly remarkable.
This is the cherry on the cake, you know. I mean, he comes out and you're not even expecting him to put up anything like what he did, especially in the last game. And you're not even expecting, you're going into that last game saying, well, you know, this could be a trap game for the Sixers. They've already, the way that the Cavs game was going, it was apparent that the Cavs were going to lose to the Knicks that night. And you were saying this, you know, they could, even if they lose, they've already got the 3 seed locked now. And they go up by 30, and then they go up to like 40, I think, and then Markelle Fultz grabs his 10th rebound, and you're not even expecting a triple-double out of him in only 25 minutes. He puts up a very quiet triple-double, and that just shows you how scary that this team actually is the fact that he came off the bench, played 25 minutes, and, you know, 13, 10, and 10, and down the line you're like, this is scary. Oh, and by the way, he's the youngest person ever to get a triple-double. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going well for the Sixers team right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think we'd see him again this year after those first couple games. I was like, Sixers, keep him out. You keep guys out for a year or two, they become all-stars. So I was just like, stay away, stay away. He comes back, puts up a triple-double. I'm happy to have him in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think a lot of people, especially, you know, including me, I was definitely surprised when the Sixers brought him back because of the whole trend of, you know, making your top draft picks sit out a year due to injury. But you know, Fultz didn't really have too major of an injury. He just had a minor shoulder/knee injury, and he had to revamp his jump shot. But we're at the point right now, guys, where the playoffs are about to start, and it's kind of amazing how we didn't find out until last night You know, we didn't after we won and solidified the 3rd seed. We finally figured out who we're going to play in the first round, and that, of course, is the Miami Heat, a team that we've had our ups and downs with this year. We've won some, we've lost some against them, but a player that we need to really look out for, and as you can see, this is the schedule for the first round, is Dwayne Wade. Clearly a poised veteran, a very successful player. What are your thoughts on having to face him in the playoffs?
You know, it's always tough when you're going up against a player that has a lot of experience, and with that, you know, he's gotten a number of rings now, and he was a superstar for a number of seasons, and in clutch time, as you can see, he still is, as we saw back in late February as he hit the game winner against us. Since he's gotten back there, when he's faced us, he has been the guy that the Sixers have had a hard time stopping. So I think that he's going to be matched up with Robert Covington is going to have the task of covering him, and Covington's going to have to, you know, perform just as he's done in most other games for the Sixers. As far as what I'm expecting from Dwayne Wade this series is what we've seen from him in, you know, the rest of his career. He's going to be the go-to scorer for them, I believe.
I'm not going to lie, the Heat scare me. Like, they have one thing the Sixers don't have, and that's playoff experience. Dragic went with the Suns. Wade's been a million times. Whiteside's gone a lot. Like, their core players have all been to the playoffs, and the Sixers, so much inexperience, I'm worried how that'll affect them.
I agree with you that they have a lot of success with Dragic and Wade, but the Flyers also. I'm sorry, don't even want to talk about them. The Sixers, the Sixers have a couple of players who have good playoff experience. J.J. Redick hasn't missed a playoff.
He's made the playoffs
every single year since he's been in the NBA, and then with that, Amir Johnson's another player who's, you know, he's got some good playoff experience, as well as Marco Bellinelli, who we just got this year, and he's going to be a crucial player for us moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the one thing about this team that I don't think a lot of people realize is that while our future, our core guys that are really young, they don't have any playoff experience at all, but we have veterans that are coming off the bench like Bellinelli and Redick. Well, Redick starts, obviously, but nevertheless, we have veterans who have played in the playoffs and definitely can make an impact in the huddle with the young guys. But looking at the playoff bracket, so we clinched the 3rd seed, and assuming we can take care of business against the Heat, we would get the winner of the 2-7 matchup, which is the Celtics hosting the Bucks for the home court advantage there. The Celtics, as most of us know, are very depleted. They're missing their top 2 players right now in Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving. Assuming we can take care of business, guys, you know, how do you guys feel about moving your way through the bracket? Jack, I'll leave that up to you.
The Heat are the scariest team on the road to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics are depleted, and the Bucks just haven't looked good. They have Giannis, but that's like it. Like, they have other good players that just haven't been performing. So honestly, get past the Heat, you're fine to play the Raptors or the Cavs, and I want the Raptors, just personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The first round's probably going to be tougher than the second. I do think that the Bucks will be a tougher matchup than Boston.
Yeah.
But I'd rather face Boston just to shove it in Boston's face, just like we did a couple months ago. And then as far as Cleveland, you know, it's going to be a tough. I think you're going to end up facing Cleveland in the conference finals, and it's going to be difficult to beat LeBron, but that's what this team is going to have to do if they want to get there. That's the team that's been there for the last 3 years, and you know, to be the best, you got to beat the best, and they've been the best over the last couple of years. I don't care what seed they go into the playoffs as. They don't care about the regular season, and it's going to be them in the conference finals.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people are anticipating. But the fact that the Sixers have home court advantage is going to be very big come later on in the playoffs. But let's go to a topic that, you know, Kevin and I had this discussion throughout the week. Usually, I don't get very, I don't express my full-on opinion all that much on this show. I try to keep it neutral. I try to just keep it discussion-based. But I need to talk about the Sixers' most consistent player throughout this entire winning streak, Ben Simmons. Let's bring up the graphic, please, because I need to explain something to everybody. It kills me to think that there are people out there who think that Ben Simmons isn't a rookie. Read the graphic here. Why is Blake Griffin on the screen? Okay, because Blake Griffin and Ben Simmons are literally in the same exact position. Griffin was drafted #1 overall in 2009, missed that season with an injury, came back the next year and won Rookie of the Year going away. Why is this not the same case with Ben Simmons? He gets drafted #1 overall in 2016. Misses the entire 2016-17 season with a foot injury. He can't even do anything physical. He's sitting on a chair on the basketball court just passing it because he can't physically move. And yet people try and say that he's at some sort of advantage over Donovan Mitchell. Now, the fact that Donovan Mitchell and other people around the league or just other Twitter fans, whatever, are wearing shirts, sweatshirts saying the definition of a rookie, trying to shove that type of argument in Ben Simmons' face. Ben Simmons even said it himself. I think he's in good shape. That is just such an invalid argument. I voiced my opinion on that. How do you guys feel about that?
As like you said, I think Simmons, his response first off is great, but when you look at the numbers, Simmons has played in 2 more games than Mitchell. He's been more available this year. As far as whether or not he should be considered a rookie, I think that's just total,
nonsense.
Exactly. Thank you. I was going to go with a more R-rated word there. But he's definitely a rookie. I mean, he's never played in a game before. That's the definition. And as far as the numbers go, Mitchell only beats him in one category, and that is points scored. But again, Simmons, just like he did for the All-Star, Simmons averages way more assists, and which that means he averages way more points accounted for that team.
Exactly.
And he also goes down, gets the rebounds, he does the grunt work, he gets the ball, and more possessions for the Sixers.
Yeah, Simmons is just playing by the rules here. The Rookie of the Year. You haven't played any games yet, you're eligible to be a rookie. He is a rookie. He deserves the award. He's a better all-around player than Donovan Mitchell is. I'm not saying Donovan Mitchell won't eventually get to that level, but at this point, he's a better player. He deserves it more.
And Donovan Mitchell, again, tremendous player, just as Jack just said, tremendous player. I mean, he's even killing it defensively. He's ranked 10th overall in the NBA, the whole NBA. But Ben Simmons is just flat out playing better basketball than him, especially down this stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the fact that, within that definition of the word rookie is the word playing. And Ben Simmons didn't play a single game at all last year. So, down the stretch as we look for the Sixers to move on in the playoffs, we're also going to look for Ben Simmons to take that coveted Rookie of the Year award. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Flyers. Stay tuned. Good.
Hi, this is Eddie Dunn, host of LaSalle's favorite TV game show, Q&A. I'm here today to tell you to watch LaSalle TV. Though if you're seeing this commercial, that means you're already watching LaSalle TV. So I guess keep it up. You're doing an awesome job. I hope you like what you're seeing. Good job.
And welcome back from the commercial break. We have a new panelist on desk. Emily Desmond joins us to talk the Flyers. And let's get right into it, as hesitant as I am to do so. The Flyers looked absolutely terrible last night. I mean, it's been apparent that we've struggled against the Penguins all season. You see the graphic there, 7-0. The Penguins punched us in the mouth early, and they just never looked back.
Yeah, it's pretty frightening, the fact that we were, I mean, the team didn't even come to show up last night, and Pittsburgh bounced all over us. And I was expecting Pittsburgh to maybe have a slow start since they had a little bit of time off, and that was not the case at all. They were, I mean, all facets of the game, defensively, goaltending. You know, obviously, when you score 7 goals, you did something right offensively. So no matter what they did, the puck seemed to bounce their way.
5 different Penguins scored. I mean, and
the one that we hate the most had a hat trick. I mean, can you believe that?
Emily, like thoughts, opinions on Game 1 last night?
Well, Claude Giroux at the end of the game said it was one of the worst games he's ever been a part of, and I think it was one of the worst games I've ever seen, in my opinion. They were just all over the place, offensively, defensively, goaltending. It wasn't good. No,
and you know, usually once we got down 3-0, I kind of thought back to 2012.
2012, exactly.
When we were down 3-0 in Game 1 and ended up coming back. Well, clearly it was like a 3-point swing the other way for us, or against us rather, and it was just not good. So many things contributed to that loss, and I guess we could start with the goaltending.
It's a good place to start when you lose 7-0.
Brian Elliott, you know, he gave up 5 goals in 30 minutes, and some of them weren't his fault. I will cut him some slack there, but you know, it does start with him, but then it spreads out to the defense a little bit more, and that's where I start to have trouble with trying to figure out who to point at in terms of letting up those goals.
Yeah, I mean, when it's that much, it's not just one player. It's the whole team. And again, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier. I mean, the puck just isn't bouncing their way right now, and we've said that since early March, when they started losing those games. All of February, they played tremendous hockey, and a part of the reason is because the puck was bouncing their ways. But now it's bouncing Pittsburgh's way, and you can see that. I mean, Crosby, one of his goals, I mean, he literally just backhanded it out of midair and into the back of the net. Like, that just shows why, as much as we all hate to say it, he is the best player in the National Hockey League. And he did it for the 3rd time in like the last, 3-4 weeks now. It's just unreal how crazy good his hand-eye coordination is. And again, a little bit of luck bounces in there, and the puck is rolling towards Pittsburgh this time.
Yeah, I think going back to the goaltending situation that you were talking about, it's the same story every single year with the Flyers, just different names on the roster. You have Elliott was playing awful in October, started to pick it up in November, December, went back down again January, February, gets hurt, comes back, and lets up 5 goals. So I think you just have to get a hold on your goaltending, like we've been saying for years now, as well as get momentum in the offensive and defensive zone. It's just awful everywhere.
Even in those years in between where the Flyers did have a sustainable run, like in, the 09-010 season, even in that year, we didn't have necessarily a premier goaltender, but we had a goaltender who got hot at the right time.
Exactly.
And they were relatively healthy for that time as well, like with Boucher, and then he got hurt, but Leighton was hot at the same time. And with this team, we don't have the hot goaltender. So they're getting hurt, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they aren't playing well anyway. So
yeah, and I think about the 2010 team too, and you know, I just think that team was so much better in so many different facets. They were older, they were so much more experienced. This team now is really young, especially on the defensive end, and that's where I kind of want to talk about where we started to fall off, especially in the first period. Evgeny Malkin, I don't care how good of a player he is. We can't let him weave his way through the defense and just score a goal like that. It's just not acceptable in any way on the defense. You know, what is Dave Hackstall going to have to do about this defense? Because they gotta start tightening things up a little bit if we want to have any more shots in the series.
Well, there's definitely going to be a lot of changes made for the Flyers, whether people who are adjusting and then probably even line changes as well, because of the fact that we did not even compete in Game 1, and maybe jostling around some of the players and switching them here and there. Maybe it'll give us a better matchups against certain players. As far as what Hackstall is thinking about doing, I have no idea.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be some kind of moves. Personal opinion, I think you bring back Hag, because brings a little bit physicality to the defensive end, and he's a rookie. What do you have to lose? You just lost 7-0. So
Yeah.
Maybe. Go ahead.
One of the good things about being a rookie in this situation is that you're too stupid to know that you shouldn't be competing, and maybe he'll come up and he'll provide some of that. But to make up for a 7-0 deficit, it's going to be more than just one player. It's going to have to be a number of different changes. There's going to have to be if they don't come out in the first 5 minutes of the next game with some jam, then I don't know if they're going to be able to compete in the rest of the series.
Yeah, and that's what makes it scary is the fact that we don't seem that Pittsburgh has our number, and we can't seem to figure out any type of rhythm, any type of mojo, and that's why changing these lines, making these changes in the playoffs concerns me. And then especially the consistency that we've been talking about with having a hot goaltender. Let's talk about our core guys, the struggles that they had in Game 1. You see on the screen there, Shane Gostisbehere, Sean Couturier, and Claude Giroux, who everyone praises, Claude Giroux, they finished with plus minuses of -4. It's just truly abysmal. Just terrible play from the whole team in general. Emily, what was your initial reaction to seeing not only the whole team struggle, but specifically these three?
Well, I think the team looks to these 3 players for that leadership, for the momentum, and if they don't have it, then it's definitely not going to encourage the rest of the team to have it. So I think our 3 players have to kind of get the momentum going so they can kind of make sure the team goes in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, like she was saying, I mean, it's the captain, it's your leading goal scorer, and it's probably the player who is the best defender, or at least the best offensive defender for us. So if those players pick it up offensively, then this series could turn into something where maybe we push it to 6.
Right, and that's what I wanted to ask next. We're down 1-0, and essentially, if we want to have any shot at winning this series, we're going to have to steal a road game at some point. If we don't win Game 2 tomorrow, are our hopes lost?
I don't want to say that they're lost. If we get pounded in again, it probably is lost. But at this particular point, the fact that they lost by so much, and they had no shot, maybe they'll come out. Again, this is a big if. They come out and they shove it down Pittsburgh's face and try to show that they belong, then we'll have to see coming home, they got the home field advantage, and they play better at home, especially against that team. So maybe we'll be able to push it. And we have a decent overall record in Pittsburgh in the past couple of seasons. It just hasn't been this year.
Right.
Yeah, same as I agree with Kevin. I just think they need to come out, and I think the next game is really going to determine how the rest of the series goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel about that. And then we've talked about it a little bit already. The goalie struggles. What is it? What do you guys think? Obviously, the injury bug is something that has affected our team a lot this season with the goaltending. What is it about what are the Flyers going to have to do with their goalies now? They have to choose between Elliott or Mrazek, and everyone thought Mrazek was a good pickup, but he hasn't been too great since filling in for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you hear a team has a great option here and an equally good option too.
Right.
We don't have that. We have a terrible option here and an equally terrible option here. And neither of them have a hot glove right now. So, I mean, no matter which way they go, I guarantee that the Flyers forwards are going to have to put up goals for us to be able to compete in this game, and we're going to have to, get some power plays and defeat some of the Penguins. But even their PK is pretty good. I mean, they're mid-tier penalty kill, and the Flyers' power play is not that good.
Yeah.
But if they get hot, I mean, that's what you need in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And that's why the Stanley Cup playoffs are as crazy as they are, because the hottest team moves on normally.
Right.
But we're not that team right now.
Yeah, not right now. We're going to hope we get there eventually. But we're going to move on to Fast Five now. And Kevin, I'm going to come right to you. We talked about them in the beginning of the show. For the Sixers, outside of Dwayne Wade, which Heat player do you think needs to be neutralized next?
I'd probably have to go with Goran Dragic, the guy who replaced Ben Simmons, or was one of the replacements in the All-Star game instead of Ben Simmons, and I was not happy about that.
Right.
But I think that he'll be the guy that Simmons will have to stop.
Yeah. Emily, Flyers-Penguins game 2 tomorrow night. Who do you think wins it and why?
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I just think they have the momentum right now, and I think it's definitely going to be a deciding game for the rest of the series.
Right.
But I just think the Penguins, they're home ice. I think they are going to win it.
Kevin, we're going to come to you. Key player for the Sixers versus the Heat, your dark horse. Who is it?
Dario Saric. Dario's crushed against Miami this year. He's averaged 19.3, which is 5 points higher than what he normally does. And being the third option on our team, he's going to be the guy that is going to be the difference maker for the Sixers in this series.
Emily, this one's for you. We just talked about the Flyers' struggles with the goaltending. What do you think will be the final decision moving forward for our starting goaltender?
I think for the rest of the season, I think we should just stick it out with Elliott and just see how it goes. We have a really good prospect coming up with Carter Hart that I think we need to pay close attention to, but I don't know. It's always been a struggle for us, so we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully Carter Hart can make an impact next season. But Kevin, last but not least, we'll come to you. We're going to talk a little bit of Philly since we haven't really discussed them on the show. What position do you want Scott Kingery to stay at when he eventually finds his niche in the organization?
Well, first off, I mean, what a series he had against the Reds. I mean, first game he goes out, hits his first home run. Second game, first grand slam. Third game, he picks up the walk-off hit for us on top of gunning some guy out from left field. Just absolutely killer. And he played a different position every game. I'm kind of the mindset right now that I think that he's going to play wherever is needed. And overall, where I want him to end up is whoever is struggling less, whether that's the third baseman, shortstop, or second baseman, or outfielder. Yeah,
definitely going to be interesting to see who Scott Kingery takes over for. But we thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia here on LaSalle TV. You can catch us on social media on Twitter and on YouTube and at lasalle.edu/LaSalleTV. We thank you all for tuning in and have a great weekend. We will see you next week.